For the longest time, I secretly wanted more. I often found myself shrinking to fit in, settling for what was comfortable, and even selling myself short. Once I finally accepted that we deserve success and we are blessed with the power to achieve it, I stopped playing small. I'm serious about building a life I love, and you should be too. I'm Denise Taylor of DeniseTaylor.live, and welcome to Life, Love, and the Pursuit of Happiness. I help women prioritize themselves, their success, and their happiness. Let's meet this week's achiever whose story will inspire you to push past your fears and soar. Well, hello and welcome back. It's Denise Taylor, and I'm always glad to have you check in to Life, Love, and the Pursuit of Happiness. We always have great stories of achievers and people who are doing absolutely great work. The reason why we anchor in there is because I believe we get encouragement from the testimony of others. And when you see success, it helps you realize just how more successful you can be. When you hear stories of people overcoming obstacles, it lets you know that you have power too to win. Now, today's guest is Cleo, and I love Cleo. She is such a sweet spirit, and her platform is about money. And we all know that we can use some guidance when it comes to money. And I enjoy talking to Cleo because what she realizes is that it's more than just what is in your hand, but it's also what's in your heart and your mind that guides your spending and your decision making around money. So now, when I think about the success superpowers, you know we have 5 of those. As a reminder, and certainly for those who may be joining us for the first time, let's run them down real quick. They are called superpowers simply because I believe that God in His Word promised that He would not give us fear, but that He would give us power. And when we embrace that power, we can go and achieve, do, be, and become greatness. Greatness is within you, and it's just waiting to be released. So superpower number 1 is see yourself successful. Number 2 is shake off fear. Number 3 is do the work. 4 is take care of you. And finally, 5 is hold fast to your faith. My belief is when you embrace those superpowers, you can achieve success. Now, in today's episode, we're going to discover how taking care of you is more than just about your nails and your toes and those self-care things that we think about. It's about holistically taking care of who you are. And when I think about our choices with money, it is a clear sign of how we are taking care of ourselves and understanding how to value our resources and how to put them to work for us so that they can be a benefit to us and help us go the distance. So, today's episode will anchor in there, and I want you to hear how taking care of you is so key to how you handle your money resources. Well, it's Denise Taylor, and I'm so excited to be here, and welcome to this episode of Life, Love, and the Pursuit of Happiness. Today, I am so pleased to welcome my dear friend Cleo. She and I made connection, and she has been such a delight. Today, we're going to be talking about money. Yep, money, getting your money in order. Cleo is the host of the wonderful podcast, Financially Free with Cleo. And today she is joining me to drop some wisdom and nuggets about finances. So welcome to the podcast, Cleo.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this moment. So this is going to be good.
It is going to be a delight for sure. So now give us a little bit about you. What inspired you to start your movement, the movement of being financially free with Cleo?
Yeah, so I wanted to start this movement because, all of us, we have different visions for our lives. We have different, ideas that we want to, bring to our reality. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to make sure that I had a platform where we could talk about it. Mm-hmm. I like to talk about money. I like to hear other people talk about their money journeys. And I just wanted to make sure that we're having these conversations because with me, I just used to keep things to myself, hold it in, figure it out on my own. But I wanted to help other people talk about it. And there's so many other people that want to share their stories, where they've been, and what they're currently working on that could help other people. So just having those money conversations, the good ones and the not so fun or good ones too. But I feel like all these conversations can really help us elevate in life, reflect on where we've been, what's going on now, and how we can continue to become better.
You know what? You tapped into something so pertinent, which is to just talk about it. For so long, we carried baggage of our money woes, right? And weren't willing to have conversations about it. And then we saw our children stumble into those same pitfalls, and the grandchildren stumble into those same pitfalls. And the worst thing is when you have an issue and someone say, "Oh, girl, I know how you feel." And you like, "Why didn't you tell me? Like, why didn't you share?" And so I love the fact that you are opening the door to have conversations, real conversations about money journeys, because that is when we can stimulate change and really educate ourselves, educate others, and as well as our children, so that they can make better decisions and be in a better position going forward. And so kudos to you for wanting to open up your platform and really have real talk conversations about money and our journeys with money. Now, let's start off with this one. What is the biggest misconception about money?
I think the biggest one is that it's always going to be a struggle with money. It's always going to be hard. I think, when I thought about my own personal journey, I struggled in the beginning because I just did not have anyone in my family that really sat me down and talked about it. So I learned through my own trial and error. But I would meet people who would tell me, you know what, I really don't have any negative experience with money because, I did have someone to teach me. But even for us that didn't have anyone to teach us about money and we kind of struggled in the beginning, we can overcome that. So it doesn't always have to be our story. Like we can share it, but we can, move past, those struggles in the past. So I think the biggest misconception is that you always struggle. There'll always be issues. Now, in life, we're going to go through, highs and lows, that's natural. But for the most part, we don't have to continue to relive the same negative money situations. Like we actually can have a different lifestyle, and it doesn't have to be hard and a struggle and stress all the time. We can actually create a lifestyle where we feel like, you know what, I am overall happy with my life, and it doesn't always have to be something negative going on with my money.
Absolutely, girl. You are singing my song. I love saying that we can build a life we love without apology. And that does not mean that we don't have struggles that we've gotten through. It just means that we are empowered by the strength that we discovered within ourselves to make better choices going forward. Your misconception is on point. There are so many people who earnestly believe that money is a lifetime struggle, and it doesn't have to be. And it also doesn't mean that you make riches for it not to be. Right? A lot of it is our choices, our decisions, our discipline, and how we handle ourselves in those situations. And so your struggle is right on point. And that is a big misconception, huge misconception. It's like we are born into that struggle. We don't have to accept that. That doesn't have to be our norm or our choice. And I think that's dope. I think that's absolutely dope what you're calling out.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So as I thought about our time together, I wanted to do something a little bit different, right? Because we talk about money and we have these different episodes where we key in on one thing, but I wanted to do a little rapid fire. And what I mean by that is to just throw out these money concepts, things that we have always heard around money or finances, and just really hear from you really quickly what comes to mind and what wisdom you would share on that topic. So I've got a list of maybe 10, and we're not going to go deep into each one. I just want you to share a little bit of wisdom so that we can make sure we covered all the bases. Okay. So the first one is credit score.
Credit score. If you're going to use credit because you want to finance something, make sure you are actually paying your bills on time and building a score to get what you actually want to get. Check with your lender and see what are they looking for to be able to approve you.
Absolutely. 401k.
Make sure you're investing something, even if it's just $10, because you want to get that employer match. You're working there, you might as well get the benefit. And if we can spend money, we can save money.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, we can spend money, we can invest money.
Invest money. Okay. All right. We can definitely take that. And I love your call out on the employer match. That's leaving money on the table if you don't take it. So minimally, we should be doing that, right?
Yeah. IRA. Make sure that you are doing the same thing similar to your 401k. Invest, put something in there. Don't feel like you have to have, thousands of dollars. Start small. And as you increase your income and your expenses go down a little bit, just start to gradually increase over time. Because at the time when you want to retire, or maybe you just need that money, in a Roth IRA, for example, if you need the money now for something, you can go ahead and get that out without any penalties. So definitely take the time to actually put something in there every time you get paid.
Mm-hmm. Investing.
Start now. If you haven't started already, just start and gradually increase. And think of investing as you're investing in yourself. So when you need or want some money, you will be able to have it instead of having to borrow to fund a lifestyle.
Good debt.
Good debt. So when it comes to good debt, sometimes people consider it to be like, taking a mortgage out on your home, because that's, an asset and that's going to eventually make you money. So make sure that you are really thinking, is this an actual good debt for me? And just finding a way to pay it off as soon as possible.
Okay. Emergency fund.
It's required because one day you're going to need some money and you want to have some money to pull from instead of having to use, a credit card or a personal loan. And when you use it, you could just pay yourself back without any interest. So make sure you are actually thinking about your living expenses, what's required for you to live each month, and start with 1 month at a time. If that's $2,000, work on saving $2,000 and work your way up.
Okay. Budget.
Set a weekly money date to create your budget and actually check in with yourself every week to see what's working, what's not working, see what needs to be adjusted, because you only get better at budgeting when you're actually working on it consistently.
Retirement,
usually people think, oh, I'm gonna retire when I'm 70 or 60, but sometimes you can retire from a certain industry and just want to do something else in your life. So just know retirement isn't just in our older age. Sometimes we can be 40, 30, 50 and realize, I think I want to retire from what I've used to been doing. And now I want to do something else. So think about retirement and actually financially setting yourself up for that pivot or for the official retirement.
Credit cards.
If you're going to use them where it's actually going to help you. Meaning if you're going to use it to, let's say, build your score or getting reward points, only use them if you can actually pay the balance off, instead, or if you are in a position where you're making the minimum payments, try to pay that off as soon as possible so you can pay less interest.
And speaking of interest rates or APR.
Interest rates. So any debt that you have, you want to make sure you are aware of what those interest rates are so you can figure out how much money am I paying in interest? Should I pay this off sooner? Should I not borrow any more money with this type of debt? Because sometimes we can look at just the monthly payment and kind of not really notice how much interest we're paying over time. So any debts you have, take some time out to see what the interest rate is, how long it's going to take you to pay it off, and see if you can pay it off sooner to save on the interest.
See, Now, they cannot say that we did not hit the normal money subjects. We got through them very quickly. And the reason why I did that is because those are always things that are top of mind. But I think you and I know that our behaviors with money or anything usually takes a turn when there's something else going on, something else that we have to deal with that has manifested itself in a money problem, that has manifested itself in poor discipline and poor behavior. So now I want to go back to where we began, right? We began talking about the journey to being financially free. So we hit all of those topics that everybody typically thinks that money conversation should center around. But being financially free in terms of being a real holistic concept is more. I think you know it's more. I think you've discovered that it's more. So let's unpack that more. Help me go deeper with financially free.
Yeah. So when it comes to being financially free or thinking about money, we kind of think of, like these topics we just mentioned. But what I always encourage people to do is to dig a little deeper, really a lot deeper, because the only way to really understand what we've really been through, what's going on now, and what I really need to do, what we really need to do to reach those goals is we need to really address our thoughts, our feelings about money, our emotions about money. Like when we think about our finances, like how do we feel right now? Are we that sometimes there's traumas from the past or from our childhood that's really affecting us still today that we think we may have healed from, or that, oh, it doesn't bother me, or it's not affecting me. And then you start to dig deeper, and it may get uncomfortable, y'all, but you really have to ask yourself, think about your daily habits. Why do I spend the way I spend? Why do I have these thoughts about my money, whether if it's good thoughts or bad thoughts? You really have to think about that, because the only way to really go forward and actually excel in your money journey is to really, really think about your feelings and emotions about money. That's why people have financial therapists. And that's why people have to start with, thinking about your mindset, because that's where it starts is, if you wonder why you haven't reached a certain goal or you keep making the same money mistakes, you have to think about, why do I keep doing this? What is it in my life that really needs to change? And I think more people are thinking about mental health, mindset, therapy, and how that really plays a role in your money journey. Even physical, training, not just training your mindset, but your body physically. If you're always feeling sick or you're feeling in pain, that can really have control on the actions that you take in your money journey too. So your mind, your body, like you really got to dig deep in your soul and your mindset to really decide, okay, who am I? What do I really want to do in my life? And what is it going to take for me to get there? Because you're going to stick to an action plan better if you get clear on where you've been and where you're really wanting to go, what you want, not what other people say you should do, but what do you desire in your financial lifestyle?
What's really interesting, Cleo, is I had a young lady schedule like a connect call with me. And I have these calls, they're 15 minutes. I make myself available. And during the connect call, I listened to what she had to share. And then I said to her, what are the three things that you really want to accomplish? And she was like, well, first, I want to get my finances in order. And second, I want to focus on losing weight. And third, I have so much going on emotionally and with my family that I need to get under control. And she proceeded to tell me an example of where she spent $500 on food within a weekend for she and her husband. Now, clearly, that's a whole lot of money for food. Okay. But what it was an indication of is she had some other things going on that were impacting her financial decisions that really had nothing to do with finances, but the financial problem was a symptom to other things that she had going on. And this is why I love that you have the word FREE in your goal for where you serve, because we really do have to seek freedom. It's not just about the money choices, because at the same time, she said, I already know what I need to do with my money. I already know. So it's not that she is not learned, but there
Yeah.
are things happening in our lives that feel out of control. And we begin to have spending behaviors and habits, be it with food or other things, that take over and are driving factors into our decisions in what we're doing. And that is why, again, I love the fact that it's not just the financial aspect, although you are very cognizant of how important that piece is. It's the FREE aspect, where you talked about the mindset and you talked about the discipline and you talked about some of the other things that are going on. I would imagine in some of the coaching that you're doing, you have similar stories and experiences where life circumstances are pressuring in on people that are driving their decision and behavior, how they're handling money. You have anything to share there?
Yeah. And I've even had, I had a client one time that talked about, hey, Cleo, why do I really need to work on this mindset piece? Why do I really need to think about my emotions? I feel good about it, but it wasn't until I started asking certain questions to help her dig deeper. Because sometimes we think we're digging deep, but not until someone helps us really dig deep. Sometimes we just need the help. We think we're really giving ourselves, a lot of, deep thought, but it takes someone else to help it bring it out of you. But she asked me, she said, why do you really talk about, mental health or physical health when it comes to money? What does my feelings and thoughts and emotions really have to do with it? Because she said sometimes, I can be having a bad day, but I can still take positive actions. I can still feel bad about something, but still take positive actions. But I had to explain to her how if you ever start something, like you're trying to start getting your money together and you stop, and you start, and you stop, and you're always like falling off track, then you have to actually ask yourself, okay, what do I really need to do differently? Have I actually really addressed any feelings and emotions that I'm struggling with? Am I stressed? Am I worried all the time? How do you really feel? And some people feel uncomfortable talking about that because money is a very intimate, personal topic. So it's not always easy to talk about it, not just with other people, but even with yourself. Because me, it was times where I was in denial for a long time. I used to tell myself, I used to lie to myself all the time. Cleo, you don't need to do this. You don't need to know. You have to be honest with yourself and also get uncomfortable and vulnerable with someone else. Like you have to get it out and talk about it because that's going to help you really heal from a lot of stuff, and other people can see things that maybe you're not seeing. So I think that's the beauty of talking with someone. And it's hard when you feel like you don't have anyone that you can talk to. It's hard to try to find someone you feel like genuinely cares about you and want you to win and won't go telling all your business. But you have to communicate with people, meet new people, connect with people, and try to find someone you truly feel that is really going to help you. Just even if they can't really give you advice, but just listening to you, that's a start with helping. So with clients that I've worked with in the past, they've learned that, hey, you know what? I see the connection with my mental health and physical health when it comes to my money, because sometimes we can have a bad day at work, feel drained, and then what we do, we can go either overeat, get some food, or we can go shopping. Ooh, that's making me feel bad. Like, we can do certain things, which, sometimes it's okay. But when it becomes an issue where it's holding you back financially, then you have to be honest with yourself and say, hey, you know what? I went out to eat this week. But then you realize I went out to eat every day for breakfast and lunch this week. But then I say I don't have enough money to do this. So we've all been there, but the biggest important thing is to not be in denial and actually acknowledge where you feel like you're struggling with and you actually need help. That's what's going to really give you that push to really take real action when you can admit that, yeah, you know what? I could do better in this area. And I actually want to receive the help to do better.
Mm-hmm. You touched on a few things that I think we need to demystify as well, which is the words mental health. For so long, we just thought that meant you were like Looney Tune, headed to an asylum, or whatever the right word is, asylum. But it really, mental health is just the health of your mind, the health of your mental state, your aptitude. And I love that you stepped all over my toes with retail therapy, because I can fall prey to that. Okay. And I understand exactly what you mean, because we are looking for satisfaction in something outside of ourselves in that moment. For whatever we feel depleted for, we find ourselves turning to something different. But what we have to realize is that when we're talking about mental health, we are not saying that you are crazy, right? We are saying that there is something that has to be instituted to continue to fortify you to think the right and proper ways for your benefit. That doesn't mean you go from zero and that you're, like you're all the way on the other end of the spectrum. That is not what we're saying. But I do think that there are behaviors and actions that can help develop that. That's another reason why I love the fact that you have combined in your ministry, in your work, in your service, the whole concept of connecting your movement to yoga. And I think that helps to bring clarity and meditation. And I know that, it sounds crazy, finances and yoga, but you have been able to leverage one to benefit the other. So help us understand that more.
Yeah, it started with my own journey when I was in my deepest struggle, my deepest, stress levels, depression when it comes to money. That's when I started practicing yoga. I didn't really practice it to connect them to at the moment. I was just stressed about my life situation, and I wasn't working out or doing any type of physical activity at the time. And I'm a person, I was always active, even as a child, all the way through high school, college. But now I got to my adult life and I was struggling, and I just, would go to work and just go, after work, do nothing and just be depressed. But I realized, you know what, Cleo, let me start doing some more positive thing. I can't just sit and cry and be sad all the time. So I just start, working out by doing yoga. I was new to yoga, and I just always felt like you had to be some professional, flexible person to even do yoga. But I realized yoga is for everyone, and you don't have to be flexible and be perfect poses. It's more than that. And I used to, learn how to, there's so many different ways how to meditate. So there's no one way and no perfect way either. But when I started to practice yoga, I realized it really helps me become calm. Like, I knew my situation needed to change, but I slowly started to not criticize myself, because I used to say, Cleo, you should have known better. I couldn't do that anymore. So it helps me accept, what was going on in my life. And when I would meditate and practice yoga on my yoga mat, I was challenging myself on my yoga mat with these new poses and yoga flows and breathing techniques. Mm-hmm. Then I realized, you know what, I can challenge myself off my yoga mat too in my finances. So it helps me get clear, be more open. It helps me take more time to educate myself. Because when you start trying to learn about money, it's just so much out there, to the point where you're like, well, where do I even start? Because I don't even know what I should start with first. But me actually nurturing my mind and my body, I felt better. Mm-hmm. So I was more excited to not just challenge myself physically and mentally, but I'm like, you know what? I can't just leave my finances aside. I have to get that in order too. And that's when I combine the two together, practicing yoga and meditation, and actually using those skills and techniques in yoga in your finances, because you can't make the best financial decisions if you're always tired and mentally drained. So it's really important to have yoga and meditation is one of my self-care. It's like self-care is really huge, and you have to make it a priority, right? Mm-hmm. So I know sometimes when I would see people post on social media, like, if you wake up, you getting on scrolling on social media shouldn't be the first thing that you do. You should actually try to, do something, even if it's just for 5 minutes, to nurture your mind or your body or something before you start doing other things. And that's something that helped me too. See, I'm a morning person, so I wake up early anyway. So that works for me, is when I can set the tone for my day. Now, every day isn't always perfect, but when I actually wake up, and whether if it's 1 minute, sometimes I'll just lay in the bed and meditate for like 1 minute. Like that will make a difference. And you don't have to practice yoga for hours a week. You can just do a simple 20-minute little yoga flow at home. You could go on YouTube. Like there's so many videos out there for free that you can do at home if you're not comfortable going, to actual class with people. But I just really feel like there is a strong connection between physical health, mental health, and the decisions that we make and actions that we take every single day.
Absolutely. And I think once you can begin to incorporate the discipline, right, to hold yourself accountable to even 1 minute, right, in the mornings, because a lot of us do just rush into our day, that just taking 1 minute to remain still, to stay focused, and to like purify your thoughts. I was looking on social media the other day, and my girlfriend's son posted, he said he was feeling low, and he said, so I went and really got in tune with my body to figure out where I was feeling low. And I thought to myself, I love that. He didn't rush for some answer outside of himself. He slowed himself down enough to really get in tune with himself to understand, where is this coming from? And I think that the discipline that you're talking about through yoga, or the challenge of meditation, or any other thing that people are doing to really keep themselves healthy, is vitally important, because it goes back to our choices, right? And if we can begin to incorporate some disciplined behaviors in our lives, whether it's through an outlet of yoga or otherwise, it can translate over into us being more disciplined to truly get to that financial freedom that you're an advocate for. And to me, that's like the silver lining, right? That's like the secret space of where we're hoping to get people to, is that they can begin to understand that connection.
Yes, it's very, very important. And I think more people are realizing that, because if you don't really do things on a regular basis to nurture your mind and your body, you're going to be forced to one day. Like you're going to break down, or you're going to crash. Like, because I used to be like that. I used to be like, no, I got to work all these hours. I got to push forward. I got to be on the go and always doing something. But once I realized that it's power in taking a break. Like, you should, that's why when you go to work, some jobs require you, no, take your 10 or 15-minute break. No, take your break. Like we need to do that in our lives, even if it's just a minute, 5 minutes. Maybe you want to walk around the block outside, or maybe you just want to get up and stretch at home. Like we have to actually take care of our bodies. We only have one mind, one body. And the more we take care of it, the better we'll be in different areas of our life. And if we don't, those feelings and emotions that we're not dealing with, they're just going to fester and create more problems internally and on the outside. So it's best to be proactive and intentional about it, or you're going to be forced to later.
It's so funny, because I talked about that person who reached out to me. After I listened to her go on and on for 15 minutes, do you want to know what I told her to do? I told her to stop and take 3 deep breaths. I literally told her to stop and take 3 deep breaths, because you could sense that she was beginning to just kind of spiral. And that is what was manifesting in her eating. And that is what was manifesting in her choices for spending. And so I know some people are like, y'all are way off topic. No, we are not way off topic, because truly getting financially free requires us to look at the whole person in the whole situation, which I'm sure is something that you say all the time on your podcast, say all the time to your clients, because you understand the connectivity of how it all comes together.
Yes, and I'm glad you told her to take deep breaths because we can go on and on and on and realize taking the breath work, just breathing, that
Mhm.
really helps us really just sit in those feelings. So, and sometimes we don't realize we need to take a deep breath. So when she did, I'm sure she probably was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. That's important. All right. So just so they don't think we done turned into a help tip for mental health, that we are still talking about money. I want you to think about your three favorite money tips. What is the wisdom that you tell people to always keep in mind? What are your top three?
Top three money tips is getting clear on your vision because you really can't set any action plan or try to stay on track with anything if you're not clear where you want to go. Because when you set up that plan, you're more willing to stick to it if you really are doing something that you want to do. So get clear, like write down your financial goals, write what you envision for your life and for your family too. And then you want to actually take some time to actually create that action plan. Like, what are you going to do every single day? I know it can be difficult working a job and all your other responsibilities, but we do what we want to do, right? We have to, make time. You can't find the time. You actually have to make time. So get clear on your vision for your money goals and actually set a time every week. Check in with yourself to see what's working. And the third is ask for help because in the financial world, stuff changes every day. Even for us financial professionals, we're still learning every day. So you have to make sure you're getting help, whether it's someone helping you for free or investing time and money into yourself, like for a financial coach or a financial advisor, financial therapist. That's what's important is getting the help that you actually need. Actually, we recorded a podcast earlier, and on my podcast, I read a financial affirmation. And his affirmation was, I asked for help when I need it. And that's a huge thing because we can progress better and have more quality of life when we actually have people helping support us. So before you dig deep into all the other money things, get clear on your vision, set time in your calendar to be working on it every single week. And third is ask for help. You're going to need help and don't feel like you have to do it alone. Like we weren't designed to do it all by ourselves. When it comes to this money game, we have to learn from other people who are professionals and experts, and then other people that we know that just have their own journeys that share some tips with us.
Absolutely. You go further in partnership, that's for sure. And that accountability is like the secret sauce, right? To making progress. So I love it. I thank you for being here. Now, listen, we in this environment believe that life, love, and the pursuit of happiness is something that we all deserve. Like I said before, my challenge to everyone is to continue to build a life you love without apology. So I got my three questions at the end for you to be able to share. So tell me, what's your life wisdom that you would tell your younger self if you could?
I would tell my younger self to not dwell in me not having people to teach me about money. I would tell myself to just start where I am and actually use the money that I'm earning to create extra incomes, multiple streams of income for myself. Because it's one thing to save from one income or invest from one income, but when you can use that income to create multiple ways to make money, then you're going to have more money, which equals more options. So mine is to actually not be afraid of learning more about investing and saving and starting with what I have instead of feeling like I had to wait till I had this perfect job, this high salary. I didn't need to do all that. I just needed to start with what I had and gradually increase.
Absolutely. What's the one love wisdom that you would tell your younger self if you could?
Love wisdom, I would say, is don't be afraid to accept and receive love from another person.
Mhm.
I would always be kind of guarded when it comes to love and different types of relationships, but I realize that we all need love. We all want to be loved in some type of way. So I would tell my younger self to be open to receiving and accepting love from another person and that I deserve it.
Amen. And then finally, happiness. Like, what is your happiness wisdom that you would tell your younger self?
do what makes you happy or feel good. And when I say that, I mean, sometimes when I was younger, I was just trying to fit in, do what other people doing stuff that it really wasn't for me, but I just thought I should because everyone else is doing it. But do what makes you happy, even if other people don't agree, or if other people think that it's a crazy idea, or you're not going to be successful at it. No, if that's what you want to do, Cleo, you do it. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, move on to the next thing. So just having that courage to do what I feel is best for me, despite what others may say.
Amen. Cleo, you are a ball of wisdom with a beautiful smile. Thank you so much for being on this episode and joining me. And before we sign off, tell everyone how to get in touch with you, where to find you, all that good info.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Cleo Yoga Finance. I'm also on Facebook. My business page is Cleo Yoga Finance, and I'm also my personal page, which I post all of my business stuff there too. It's Cleo Childress, and my website is cleoyogafinance.com.
All right. It sounds like if you go look for Cleo Yoga Finance, then chances are you're going to find my girl here. So Cleo, thank you so much for being with me, and I appreciate you. And thank you for your work that you are doing to help people truly get financially free. And I just want to end by saying success looks good on you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure, and I can't wait till next time.
Now, I hope you agree. I told you taking care of you is important. It encompasses. I hope you agree. I tried to tell you up front that taking care of you is important, and it encompasses your money as well. The way we think about things, the way we process, is how our actions come to life. And so when you take care of yourself financially, you will see change in how you spend, in how you save, and how you invest. And I hope you heard loud and clear in my conversation with Cleo how it is important of how you take care of the resources that you've been blessed with. As always, here on Life, Love, and the Pursuit of Happiness, we are glad to serve you and push you on to achieve great things. I believe greatness is within you, and it's just a matter of championing it to come out. So I am your advocate for success. And today it was about your money. So I want you to make better choices when it comes to your money. As always, we need you to rate, review, share, and subscribe. That helps to keep the podcast going. I always love to hear from you. You can find me in our Facebook group, and we can dialogue there. It's free, and connect with me in the Life, Love, and Pursuit of Happiness group. I'm Denise Taylor, and I am your success strategist, just championing you on to greatness. We'll see you next time. Well, that's it, beautiful. Thank you for tuning in. Don't ever forget that you truly deserve life, love, and all the happiness your heart can hold. Be relentless in building a life you love without apology. I'm Denise Taylor, and you can always find me in our free Facebook community. Life, Love, in the Pursuit of Happiness, easy to find. Now, if you want more information about my success superpowers, as I'm sure you do, download my free Success Superpowers ebook at denisetaylor.live/podcast. And one last thing, always embrace your power and go.